Good afternoon, everyone. This is Jessica Garcia with Brainstorming Women, coming to you with Nicole Quallen from Two Families Law in Durham, and we are here to talk to you about the 4 paths to divorce. And if that's a decision you're making or contemplating and you don't know where to go, Nicole can offer us some information here today.
Thank you, Jessica. Hi, everyone. This is my first Facebook Live. Exciting and terrifying. So like Jessica said, I am a lawyer and a mediator in Durham. I practice exclusively in the world of divorce. I am a divorcee myself. And I like to practice in a sort of non-traditional way and give clients lots of options. In North Carolina, one of the best things about North Carolina divorce law is that you can get divorced without ever stepping foot in a courtroom and really have a lot of control of how your divorce looks. So what that means is there are a lot of different ways to get there. The end of divorce is you're no longer married, you've settled all of your assets, child custody if you have them, child support, and you're ready to move forward. So we're going to talk about 4 processes to get to that end point today.
Awesome. And I think one of the factors to consider that perhaps you could touch on each one is the cost.
Yeah.
Because I think that's a factor for many folks that are contemplating that.
Absolutely. Cost, and there are a bunch of factors that sort of change in each one. So
awesome.
let's move through these here. The first one I call negotiating a separation agreement. So a separation agreement is going to be the end goal for 3 out of the 4 paths. And it is a 20 or so page document that lists and describes all the things you've agreed upon about how you're going to divide your assets, your debts, child custody. Negotiated separation agreement you can do with the help of 1 or 2 attorneys or no attorneys. I would definitely recommend using at least 1 to draft the agreement for you. And this is usually the lowest cost, so you don't go to court at all, you have no litigation fees. Another benefit of this one is this might be the least interaction you have with your spouse. You might not have to see them at all. You can do this through attorneys.
I see.
Some people that's really important. We'll see in some of the other paths, it can be a benefit to have more contact with your spouse and sort of work through the agreements if you're in a situation where you're able to do that. So the negotiation, it's a back and forth. It's a process of communicating about what you need and want and what your spouse needs and wants, and to try to get you to a middle ground there, and then you end up with this document.
So is that once you have completed that process and you've agreed to it and signed it, that's set in stone?
Exactly. So once you sign it, you both will sign in front of a notary, and then it is a legally binding document. It is enforceable in the court system if you need. That settles all of your legal claims, and then you can have your attorney go to court to actually sever the marriage in what's called an absolute divorce. But the rest of it stays out of court. It's sort of a process I recommend for people who have a really good idea of what they want to do. I have clients all the time who come to me. They say, we've talked about it. We know what we're doing with the house. We've been doing custody schedule. We're good. We just want it put into a document that gives us lots of protection. And that's what I would really recommend is get an attorney's opinion, because there are all of these legal minutia that attach to your marriage that you want to handle before you get a divorce.
Very good. All right, and then the next one is mediation, I believe that you.
Yeah. So mediation is a wonderful thing, and mediation, at least my definition of mediation, is about you and your ex-spouse sitting in the same room and working through these questions together, questions about assets and property, which will make some people shake with terror and say, I've left for a reason, I don't want to sit in the same room. But some people really want it. They want to have control over the process and they're able to have productive communications with their spouse, so they want to discuss it together. And so what you get in mediation is you hire a third party neutral. So I serve as a mediator, and plenty of other attorneys and non-attorneys can serve as a mediator. And mediation skills are about guiding the communication. So probably if you're getting a divorce, you need some help in having difficult discussions.
Sure.
And these are tough discussions. So mediation is this very supported environment where you can make these decisions.
And it's one mediator?
And it's one mediator. You can have one or two attorneys in there with you or sort of guiding you separately throughout the process. But the mediator that mediator doesn't represent either of the parties. They really just facilitate the discussion. So in the first path, we talked about a negotiated separation agreement there. If you're having conversations with your spouse, you're really on your own, or the attorneys are communicating. So you don't have the support of something like, if I'm in a mediation and I can see that this couple is stuck, let's say talking about, weekend custody. I have training in communication skills and how to get past those blocks. So I can offer them ways to think about it. I can help give them tools to how to communicate in a better way.
Okay.
So in a mediation, again, you're going to wind up with a separation agreement. You wind up hiring another attorney to draft it for you. But it's really just about this supported communication environment. You have like these multiple sessions to get you to your conclusions.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does, completely. Let's see, and the next one, the third one is that you had was a collaborative divorce.
Yeah. So I know that Jessica has also talked with Carrie Burley, who is an amazing collaborative divorce attorney. She knows it much better than I do. But collaborative divorce is this very cool special process. North Carolina has it, some other states have it, some don't. It's a very specific format. So you've got your two spouses, and they each have an attorney who is trained in collaborative divorce. And again, everyone, so there you have 4 people in a room working through these questions. You also have the opportunity to hire and bring into the room a financial analyst if needed, or some sort of financial expert, and also a child expert if you need that for custody. And so you should definitely watch Jessica's video about collaborative divorce with Carrie. But I would call this sort of an extreme supported environment. So at any given time, both of the spouses, you have your attorney there, protecting your rights, encouraging you, advising you with their experience. You might also have, the financial folks and child specialists who do this are brilliant. They understand the needs of a child going through a divorce. So you have this really supportive environment to again lead you to a separation agreement. And one of the cons of this is that it's going to be more expensive than those other two paths.
Because of the specialists you're including.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You've got a room of 2 to 3 paid professionals by the hour. So I would definitely recommend that this kind of divorce, people who have complicated assets. I'm doing one now where a family has tons of rental properties and small businesses, and there are questions of how to value those and divide them. So when things get more complicated, you really want all of that support there. And also for maybe more high conflict cases. So lower conflict, I tend to do well with just negotiating a separation agreement or mediation. But the more difficult it is to have a conversation, the more helpers you want to have.
One of the things I recall from the collaborative divorce process is that each spouse signs an agreement up front that they won't go to court, and as soon as they decide if that changes, then the attorneys can no longer work with them.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the pledge, and it's sort of the core of the collaborative is that you really go in there with your best foot forward, saying, I am committed to this process, and we're going to try to make it happen outside of court. And that's right. Once they're gone, they need new attorneys.
Very good. Thank you. And then the last one is a court divorce.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is the traditional divorce. This is what people think of. This is what you see on TV. You go to court, and a judge is assigned to your case.
What was that movie? War of The War of the Roses.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
Oh, it's old.
I love divorce movies.
Oh, you do?
There's Kramer versus Kramer, and Intolerable Cruelty is a favorite.
That gives you an idea of what we're talking about.
Yes. And honestly, they're usually like horror shows. They show you the horror of divorce, and they're often not that exaggerated. That's what people ask me all the time. Is that what divorce looks like? So I started my career doing divorce in the courtroom and litigating cases, and so I'm very biased against court.
Okay.
I don't think it serves most people. I think some families are necessarily in court. I think if you can avoid going to court, you should really try to. The cons of court are it's very expensive. The cost of preparing for a trial, you're going to be doing, like we were talking about before we started this, we were talking about forensic experts and having someone go through the forensics of your computer, preparing an accounting of your assets and debts. Hugely expensive processes. You've got subpoenas and depositions, and then going to court itself can take a lot of time. You'll also, it's not uncommon at all that you'll be continued and delayed, so it can take a lot of time. You don't have as much control in a court divorce.
I think that's one of the key factors too that stands out to me. Not only the expense and the length of time, but the control that you give up.
Yes.
Because the judge ultimately decides.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This judge who you've never met is going to hear about your story, and you're going to present your best story, your best case, but you just don't know what she or he is going to come back and say, and then you've got to live with it. In any of these other processes, it's if you don't sign something, you're not stuck with it. But on the flip side of that, I think a lot of people wind up in court because they are unable to find a way to agree, and so you are at the mercy of the court, but the court is at least going to give you some finality.
Resolution, perhaps?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, thank you. Are there any pros then to the court aspect?
Yeah, there are certainly pros. So like I said, if you really cannot find a resolution, the court is going to give you that eventually.
Okay.
It may be years, but you will eventually get that certainty. For folks who their relationship with their spouse has either really devolved, for some people there's domestic violence, and they are just not able, although I do plenty of negotiations and mediations with domestic violence. You've just got to be careful to be aware of those issues. But for some of those relationships, they aren't able to have a conversation, and they want the judge to help. What are other cons? So I think there's this concept that a lot of people feel very wronged and very hurt in their divorce, and a lot of people are very wronged and hurt in their marriage and in their divorce. And I think some people think, I want to go to this court, this body of law, and say, look, this is what happened to me, that was wrong, and they want to hear a judge say that was wrong, and that can feel really good. So the pro is that some people do get that feeling out of court. The con is that you often don't get that, and you're looking for it. And so when I'm working outside of court, I try to help people find those feelings of vindication and empowerment in a different way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Seems very important.
Yeah. Oh, I think that's huge. The legal things are important, to be sure, but often the emotions are really what matters.
Well, thank you so much, Nicole.
You're
welcome. This has been very informative, and we thank you for watching. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you.
Nicole, can you tell us your website?
Yeah, so my firm is called Two Families Law. It's TWOFAMILIES law.com. I'm in Durham, and I work with clients in Orange, Durham, and Wake County.
Thanks again, Jessica Garcia with Brainstorming Women.